Good people on the quest for good content. We're switching it up a little bit today. You've got Bill and Jordan, but we're not doing Song of the Week. We're doing a little fries at the bottom, and we're talking Super Bowl halftime performance. Bill, what's going on, my brother?
Well, as you can tell that my bandana is not fastened like it usually is. I'm pretty tired from work. I'm dragging a little bit, so all the details and all the usual accoutrements are not up to par. But we're giving you the raw and the real at the bottom of the bag with these fries. So I'm hanging in as best as I can, dog. It's just a lot going on, and I'm maintaining like so many of us are. So, if the bandana is a mood ring, this is just me maintaining, man.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm similar vibes over here. So we'll get right into it. What were your initial thoughts on the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime performance?
I only watched it live once. I haven't gone back and combed through like I know has become a custom for the Super Bowl halftime show over the last handful of years. I would say the thing that sticks out to me most is it's like resistance through joy is the thing that stuck out to me. Art is political. It's always political. Don't believe people when they tell you it's not political. And so to really just show the culmination of like a positive, diverse, happy, energetic, charismatic Latin experience as it's portrayed in America, and then obviously the United States and obviously the broader Americas and globally too, was a real refreshing reminder about like the unity that exists in art, music, and just different communities. Bad Bunny is the most streamed artist in the world right now, I'm pretty sure. And so he's obviously going to garner a huge audience. And I think he was the most watched halftime show of all time. And just to know that many eyes were on that amount of like color and movement and cultural exploration for those of us who are not part of the Hispanic and Latin communities. It was really amazing to see because I'm only operating on visuals. I can't speak Spanish as well as I used to. Therefore, like my skills and understanding and my fluency has eroded. I was never fluent, but I used to be conversational. And so I'm just missing a lot of these vocal details that I usually keen in on, but it allows me to heighten my senses for the visual. And the joy, the camaraderie, the unity, that's what stuck out to me most, man. It was pretty cool to see. Especially contrasted to last year when we're kind of in the midst of watching Kendrick finish off and do his victory lap of a combat sport that lyrical hip hop is known to be from time to time. This was just a different lens and it was really cool. And also the Turning Point USA halftime show apparently didn't get many viewers. So that was just a nice little side note as well to know that the racists and the bigots thought they were having their own party and turns out nobody really showed up. So long-winded explanation, but when I'm tired, I'm long-winded. What'd you think?
Yeah. So initial thoughts, watching it in the moment, I really enjoyed it. Just piggybacking off what you said, it was really cool to see this kind of ode to Black and brown, Latino, Spanish-speaking culture in general. Yeah, it was just a fun performance to watch. I speak less Spanish than you. Like I don't speak Spanish very well at all. So I did not understand the lyrics of the music, but it didn't mean that I didn't enjoy it. The music was still fun to listen to. But yeah, more than anything, I think it was just a really good visual performance. And it was good to see a culture celebrated on such a big platform. So that was really fun. I think it's just so interesting to me now how this has turned into something that can be so divisive and such a talking point and something that you have to stand on one side or the other on. And it's just a musical performance, right? It's a 13-minute musical performance, and it's become this thing that in American culture we have to kind of discuss, as in who's being left out, who's being included, who's not being included. So I found all of that fascinating. I guess maybe my algorithm just wasn't up to date, but I wasn't aware of this alternate performance until I was on my way. Yeah, I didn't know it was going on. So I went to a friend's house for a Super Bowl party, and I took a friend with me. And just to be blunt, this was a white person's house that was having this party. And so my buddy, I'm in the car with my buddy, we're going to this party, he's Black, and he asked me, he goes, so what Super Bowl performance will these people be watching? Like, what type of crowd is this? Will they be watching the alt performance, or will they be watching Bad Bunny? And I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know this Kid Rock thing was going on. And it's just so fascinating to me that we live in this world now where we we have to have alternate Super Bowl performances for people that feel left out.
Yeah, man.
Especially when those people that feel left out are the majority. What a weird thing.
Yeah, man. It's It's in a weird way, when we get into these very minute battles, it is a great reminder that the powers that be are doing a wonderful job distracting and dividing accordingly. You know, it's like kind of watch this hand, and then get whatever agenda or execute whatever tactic you need to execute over where people should be looking. But these are the times, man. It is very strange to see people get so worked up over the fact that they feel like they can't necessarily be the center of something, as benign as a 13-minute performance, like you said, but also a performance that isn't even necessarily centered at like a globally loved sport, right? I know this doesn't
Mhm.
happen at soccer matches, but like there are no halftime performances during the beautiful game, right? During football matches in the Premier League. And that's the most popular sport on the planet. Like football is a pretty globally niche sport. It was only, quote unquote, only 132 million people watched out of 8 billion. You know what I mean? That's 1/3 of America's population, if I'm remembering correctly. And I know people were watching outside of America, obviously. But that's like a pretty small slice of the pie when you think about like football in a vacuum, or I guess compared to other sports. I know they're trying
Mhm.
to go global, but it's like a pretty small slice of the pie. And for people to, it's America's new pastime, but for people to get so up in arms and all this anticipation builds now because of what Kendrick did last year, and now it's another non-white artist, even though he's the most streamed artist in the world. So commercially, it makes sense. He just came off an album of the year win at the Grammys. It's like all the stars are basically lining up for this pick to make a lot of sense. For people to feel like, well, if it ain't about me, I don't want any part of it. It's strange because it feels like, and again, maybe I'm just out of loop here, but feels like Black Americans are at the center of a lot of scrutiny, controversy, our culture being taken, et cetera, et cetera. But when other people get centered, it feels like we do a pretty good job of getting out the way and letting it kind of be and letting it kind of ride. And I
Mhm.
felt like that feeling and that sentiment actually permeated a lot louder than the divisive half, which was refreshing. It felt like there was a lot more response to non-Spanish speakers being like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but they look like they're having a fucking good ass time. And I really like this energy, and the camera work is amazing, and the vibes are high, and the symbolism is there, and the message of unity is striking through even outside of the language barrier that may exist to non-Spanish speakers. It was pretty cool to see kind of the other side. You know, I always talk about how culture's a pendulum swinging back and forth, and it really feels like all that momentum that has swung to the negative side that we've been enduring these last 8 to 12 years is really starting to build momentum towards the other way. There's that final resistance that needs to push through, but I think that is also a great encapsulation of what Bad Bunny's performance was, right? It's like resistance through joy, resistance through humanity, and reminding us about the diverse human experience that exists on this planet and how all positive aspects of it should be celebrated, even if you can't understand it. Like literally, linguistically can't understand it, in my case.
Yeah. And it it's always fascinating to me how people decide kind of which parts of American culture they pick and choose which parts of American culture to celebrate. So you
Sure.
look at the Super Bowl, and to me, the Super Bowl is, in a lot of ways, it is kind of a night of a celebration of American culture, because football is probably, not even probably, football is the most prominent sport in American culture. The halftime performance has turned into, in a lot of ways, a cultural celebration for whichever artist gets selected to perform. And, like I was thinking about it today, you look at a football game. A football game is two teams composed of 56 men from all over the country, composed together, played at different colleges, played different styles of football all over the country, sometimes even from all over the globe, all working together for one common goal. That's like a very American thing, right? Most of these guys played at all these different American colleges, grew up playing
Hmm.
football all over the country, and now they're on the Seahawks or the Patriots trying to win this ultimate goal. And then all of the other extracurriculars that come with the Super Bowl, the pop culture that goes on with the celebrity sightings, the commercials, even kind of the minor things that come with pop culture, like the chicken wings and the beer. But all of these things are diverse. You know what I mean? Like all of these things are kind of built in diversity, even though football, the NFL in general, is a relatively conservative organization. Like the idea of football and what football represents, there's a lot of diversity built into that. And people are willing to cheer for that, and people are willing to kind of indulge in everything that goes into the game. But then you get to this halftime performance, and people are upset that the performer isn't what they consider American, even though he is.
Yeah, he's in the U.S. territory. That's the funniest
Yeah,
thing. I think the number of comments I saw around, he ain't even this, he ain't even that at the beginning when Bad Bunny was announced. The American education system is working exactly as it was designed to work. You know what I mean? Just defund over here,
absolutely.
repurpose funds over here, work everybody into a service job of some kind so they're beholden to a grander technology that only a few. Yeah, man, it's a weird thing, but you're right. Every sport, America's greatest strength, I hate to sound cliche, is its diversity, because literally all this shit is invented by people who came here from places they weren't originally from, or places they're originally from, came here, made some sort of contribution based on ingenuity or around desperation or around survival or around just genuine creativity and freedom. From tangible inventions to jazz music to different culinary exploration to fuck you name it, a lot of shit has come from America, and a lot of that has come from the diverse population that has existed here or was stolen and, you know, planted here against our will in some cases, or many cases, excuse me. So it's strange that gets lost on us, because we have no problem cheering at the top of our lungs for the Olympics. The Winter Olympics are going on too. And as long as we
Yeah,
getting gold, it's all good.
or even like I just thought it was funny that the Seahawks in particular had 4 or 5 players on their team that were from different African countries. Their best offensive weapon is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're willing to root for that, but when Bad Bunny does his 13-minute performance, you want to turn on this Kid Rock thing on BBC Network or whatever the hell that was. Like, it's just so weird to me, and it's so disgusting sometimes with like how sometimes in America people treat other people. I even saw something today on Twitter where there was a bar, and I didn't catch where this bar was, but there was a bar that turned every single TV in the joint to this Kid Rock thing during the Super Bowl halftime, and refused to play the Bad Bunny performance. It's like, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, I guess, man.
Man, make your statement. It's got to be lonely out there, having that much visceral, guttural disgust in your heart for shit that doesn't affect you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very strange. Very strange. All that to say, I liked the performance. I thought it was good. I thought the camera work was crazy. Bad
Yeah.
Bunny was on cue, shifting eyes over here, over there. We were meeting him. You got a bunch of different cameos. Choreography was on point. The color, the vibrance, the pace. I do think that it's weird, or it's interesting to see the evolution of the Super Bowl halftime performance go from a performance for the attendees to a performance for viewers, because of just the sheer number of viewers. Small in the grand scheme of the globe and small compared to other sports, but the grand number of the viewers, 130 million, like it's more or less for people at home at this point, because the stage setup and the choreography isn't necessarily grandiose and catered to the stadium attendees. It's interesting how that's evolved. I mean, the money's in the media, right? The money's always going to be in the media. Shit, that's why, we're trying to actualize your vision on this channel, right? Because we're contributing in our little way to media as well.
Sure. It's interesting though, Bill, and I thought about that too, but it's actually funny because football, like the actual sport, the game, is kind of the same, where it makes more sense to consume football from your living room than it does at the game. Like you get the best angle of the football game on TV. Football is probably the best made for TV product, at least as far as sports goes, ever. And so, yeah, I'm with you. David and I did a podcast a week or two ago where we named our favorite Super Bowl halftime performances ever. And I went back and watched a lot of the old ones, and you see a shift. I want to say the first time you see the shift is after the Michael Jackson one at the Rose Bowl Stadium. I'm not going to pretend to remember the year, but that was the last one that when I was watching them on YouTube where I said, okay, this is where we start to make the shift for a product for the people in the stadium to a product for the people watching on TV. And you're right. It's interesting that that's how it's gone, but it's also, there's kind of some poetic justice in it because that's also how football is. Football is also better to watch on TV than it is in person.
Yeah, there's just too much money in it. There's too much money in it not to cater to the commercial watchers and the food orderers and the caterers and all that kind of shit. It's interesting. America is made on TV, man. Like, America is media. We always got something. We got too many TV channels and everybody wants to be a star. So it makes sense that there's a shift that existed. I'm curious on what the conversations are outside of Jay-Z's selections. You know what I'm saying? You know, from like the higher powers that be within the league, if this trend gets to continue or not. You know, I'm pretty curious to see what next year looks like.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this also. It'll be interesting to see. Say it ends up being Taylor Swift next year. I'm just using like a very generic Caucasian artist. You know, black people aren't going to be like, "Oh, well, this is bullshit. We're not being represented this year." You know, the Latino people aren't going to say that. It's just so interesting how every year that we've had a non-white artist, the contention has been, well, why don't we pick a show that everybody will enjoy? It's just so interesting. And yeah, you're right. Jay-Z, since he's taken over, has, I'd have to run through the list, but I don't think there's been a popular white artist since he's taken over. And I don't think it's because Jay-Z doesn't like white people. I think he's just picking the artists that make the most sense at the right time. And so far, it's been Rihanna, Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre, Bad Bunny. Like, it's just made the most sense to have these artists. But it doesn't mean that popular white American artists won't get picked in the future also.
Yeah, it's just wherever culture is paying most attention, that's who's going to get picked, at least from our vantage point. But, you know, them owners might come in and say, like, I think that's enough. Pick one. Here's a list of 10 you get to pick now from here, because he went too far this way for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see how it goes next year.
It's in Los Angeles next year, which, you know, is Hollywood. They've already done the last time it was in Los Angeles, it was the Snoop, Dr. Dre, Kendrick 50, Mary J. Blige, and Eminem. I think were all of the performers last time. It was in LA. Who would you pick?
Well, that's the thing about this whole thing and the pendulum swinging is I really don't know like who's going to be the hottest in a year or who's going to be the hottest in 6 months, because this media landscape we find ourselves in is so microwave these days, right? People get hot, people get cold. Kendrick is the biggest rapper in the world right now, has been for the last couple of years. Bad Bunny is the biggest artist in the world, has been for a while now. And that obviously factors in. You know what I mean? So who's hot? Who dropped the best album 8 months before the Super Bowl and it just came off a national tour? I'm sure that has something to do with it. We didn't find out about Kendrick and Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl till like what, 120 days before?
Probably.
So if you're asking me who I had to project as being the star, it's hard to project in this landscape. Extended streaks of hotness, or I guess momentum and motion, are really hard to come by these days because the media landscape is so fragmented. I really wish I had a better answer than that, but it's like, I truly do not know.
I don't have a good answer for it either, to be honest with you, Bill. As you were talking, I was kind of running through it in my head, and I don't know who I would pick. The one question that popped into my mind is, do you think Jay-Z would ever do it?
If it was his last year.
Yeah.
You know, or he would do Beyonce if it was his last year. It would be kind of like this big crescendo, like I'm out of here now, you know, let me get my Super Bowl check and I'm gone. But Jay-Z's at that point where he's so far removed from music making. Obviously, his cultural impact is highly, highly, highly significant. But we're so far removed from his last album, 444, at least from a solo perspective. What was that, 2016?
Yeah, something like that.
What does he have to show? Beyonce could do Cowboy Carter, right? And then we go through this whole song and dance again, and like what she had to endure from like the country fandom and country standpoint. Like she's not from Texas, which is crazy, right? Like she's not vocally trained and knows the tradition. We'd have to do that whole song and dance again. I don't know, man, but it'll be somebody rock focused if it's not somebody hip hop. I think the powers that be will go, alrighty, you've done your 3-4 years your way. Put one of our picks in.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. We'll see. Overall, Bad Bunny, 2 thumbs up. Really good performance. Really fun night in American culture. Loved we asked, would he make a statement? And I think you hit the nail on I think you hit the nail on the head with he'll make a statement subtly through the art, and that's exactly what he did, and it was fun to watch. And yeah, it was a fun night for sports and for music and pop culture.
Alrighty, no weird soliloquy from me this time, folks. We're just going to get you on out of here. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a Fries at the Bottom talking about the latest Super Bowl headlined by Bad Bunny. We appreciate, share any opinion you have. We want to hear. Y'all have been great in terms of engaging with us, picking apart some of our content, positive mostly. Thank you for that. And negative in some cases. Like, thank you for that also, but also like chill. And so we can't wait to hear back from y'all regarding this topic and others. Keep supporting the usual YouTube spiel, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all the socials, et cetera, et cetera. But fries at the bottom, Bad Bunny, Super Bowl. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.